Hi, I want to welcome everyone to the fall 2020 semester. I'm Dr. Amanda Almond. I'm an associate professor of psychology, and welcome to interdisciplinary health psychology. I'm really committed to your success this semester, and I think we're all facing a number of challenges. So it's important for you to get a sense of who I am, especially that we won't be interacting with one another as often. And I just want to really commit to you that I want you to succeed. I want to communicate my commitment to your success this semester. I'm certainly here for you to support you and to serve you in any way possible so that we can achieve learning objectives together. I think an important part of this is for you to get a sense of who I am, and that's why I've recorded this brief introductory video about myself. I'll start by saying that I really miss face to face interactions. And I'd be eager to hear more about what you guys feel is missing from not being able to meet face to face, as well as some of maybe the advantages to learning at a distance or remotely. But one thing I miss right away, besides seeing your glowing faces, is the energy. So usually you leave a classroom. Usually, I leave a classroom after a lecture and I feel really charged with a lot of great energy. And I've learned that these interactions we have online, whether I'm recording a lecture, whether we're streaming something live, those types of interactions usually leave me feeling drained. So it's something that I've gotten used to at this point, but it's just a number, one of the many things that we're faced with this semester. So let me just tell you a little bit about myself because I think that can be helpful. My goal is to learn about you as well, and from that foundation of an understanding of who we are, we can really work together to achieve the learning objectives of this really cool and unique course. So I'm an associate professor of psychology. I've been at City Tech. This is my 7th year here as a full-time professor, and it's my 10th year as a professor of psychology. Um, I completed my doctorate in psychology back in 2014 from the University of Rhode Island. Before that, I completed my master's degree at Connecticut College. And prior to that, I completed my associate's degree and my bachelor's degree at Mitchell College, which is a very small school in my hometown of New London, Connecticut. A little bit about me personally. I'm no longer in New London. I've been living in Brooklyn with my husband, my cat, and my daughter. And that's where we've been. So I'm here in Brooklyn with many of you, as well as, a lot of you are in the other 5 boroughs, maybe even New Jersey or Long Island. But that's a little bit about myself. I'll talk to you about my education because I think it's an important part it's a huge part of who I am. And I think by sharing my story and journey through college, I hope that you see me as someone that you can relate to and someone you can ask questions of. Um, I want you to have a deep understanding of the content in this course, but I also want you to leave with a deeper understanding of who you are and the types of questions that you can bring into this world, which is really important. So I'll just share a bit with you about my college journey. I began as a part-time student enrolled, one class at a time. So I let me back up a bit. So my first fall semester after high school, I went away to a college in a very small town in Massachusetts, and I blew it. I got 3 F's and a B. I was in love with my boyfriend. I was missing all my classes. I really didn't put in much effort. So when I returned back from that small town in Massachusetts, I was back in Connecticut. I decided to go pursue a college degree, but I knew I had to take my time and really figure out what I wanted. So I started out enrolling in just one course at, again, this small school, Mitchell College, and I was working as a waitress for many, many years, paying cash for each one course at a time. So it took me 7 years to complete my bachelor's degree, and that degree was in a topic called human studies and family development. Human development and family studies, excuse me. So I went part time for 5 years. I completed my associate's degree. And then for my last 2 years, I got some recognition for my hard work and determination. And I became a full time student and I got some scholarships. And I completed my bachelor's of science in human development and family studies. Now, that degree really looks at systems and families and individuals. They study things like the lifespan, how a person develops from birth to death, and all the relationships they have in between it. And during my last year there, so I had some really good mentors that encouraged me to pursue a graduate degree. I really enjoyed being in the classroom. I enjoyed giving presentations. I even enjoyed group work if I had a good group. I even enjoyed group work. So they saw in me something that I hadn't seen in myself. And a lot of times professors are able to do that, which may hopefully you've had the opportunity where a professor has seen something in you that you really hadn't tapped into yet. So again, I welcome the opportunity to learn more of you, learn more about each and every one of you. So I had a mentor that advised me to go and pursue my graduate degree, and that's when I enrolled in a master's program in psychology. And around this time of enrollment, I really started to identify as a feminist, someone that was very interested in the role that women play in society, the role that ideas and values about gender play in our society, and how things are structured in our society. I had done an internship my last year of my bachelor's degree at the Commission on the Status of Women at the state capitol in Connecticut, where I learned a lot about the inequalities that women were facing in the job market. So I began graduate school really with this new awakened mind that I wanted to understand women. And I was also always very interested in race. Um, so I identify as a Black woman. My mother is white. My father was Black. So I am biracial or mulatto. I am of color. Um, and I use she and her as pronouns. And again, like I said, I'm married and I have a daughter. So I was always very interested in all of these identities that came together. And I was always so interested in race. So being in Connecticut, I was visibly different from some of my other peers in terms of my hair, my skin color, my physical features. And so my whole life, I had been confronted with this idea of race, and I wanted to know more about it. So I began my journey as a graduate student, really interested in feminism and race. So I began to study my master's in psychology, focusing on the health of Black women. And also a bit about myself. At that time, I was a heavy smoker. I smoked about 2 packs of cigarettes a day. I was not exercising. I was waitressing, and I had gotten really big, and I was really overweight, and I wasn't active, and I was a smoker. I said I wasn't going to get that personal, but a lot going on. And I share that with you because it really informed the research I did and the degrees that I pursued. So while earning my master's, again, I studied the health of Black women in my community. And again, I was urged to pursue even more education, and that's when I began my doctorate at the University of Rhode Island. Had excellent mentors there, and I completed a dissertation on the topic of race and health promotion. So, how are larger organizations communicating to Black people and to women about health and about engaging themselves and becoming um, an active role, an active actor in their physical health and well being. So that's a little bit about my education and my research. About my teaching, I've been teaching this topic for several years. My last year of my doctorate, I served on a pre-doctoral fellowship at the University of Connecticut. And I had the privilege of working with the esteemed Dr. Jelani Cobb, who is a very renowned race expert. And with him, I did a year fellowship, and I taught my first class on the topic of race and health. Prior to that, I had taught introduction to psychology classes, family systems classes, abnormal psychology. But it was at the University of Connecticut where I really developed some ideas and a passion for teaching this topic of race and health. So during my time at City Tech, I stepped into the role of teaching health psychology, and I very quickly in my first year wanted to make this an interdisciplinary course, because when we're talking about health and well-being, it is not strictly a psychological issue. It is also an economic issue. It is also a thought experiment. So you'll see that in this course, we'll have philosophers come in and instruct us on how we can think about these topics. Um, And health is also a matter of the medical professionals practicing it, whether it be nursing, dentistry, or whether it be mental health care workers. There's a lot that goes into our physical wellness. And I think the times that we are living in right now, there are many threats to our health. And whether it's a virus, something invisible that we cannot see, whether it's something like police brutality, where our own mortality is at stake, people are being killed by one another. Um, we can see, I think, very clearly as a society, we're all on the same page that there is a very strong relationship between what we think, what we feel, and what we do, and the quality of our physical health. So that's what we're going to tackle together. A learning objectives for this course is for you to understand the relationship between race and health. And you'll see that from the perspective of me as a psychologist, again, from a philosopher, from an economics professor, from some health professionals. And also, you can leave this classroom knowing new information, things you didn't know before. And again, really having power, and the power that you'll have will come from your ability to ask really good questions of yourself, of the members in your community, of people in positions of leadership and power. You'll know the kinds of questions that need to be asked. So everyone has a fair shot at health in our nation. We'll also, at the beginning, the first module of the course, we're going to dig really deep into race in our country, and we'll work on together to understand what race is not. We have a lot of ideas of what race is. For many of us, some of those ideas are incomplete or inaccurate. But what I've learned through my own studies and research is that it is most important for us to know what race isn't. And from there, we'll go into topics within psychology, again, those other disciplines I mentioned, and you'll have a couple projects where you really get to ask some good questions about the relationship between disease and race, and also other identities like gender or motherhood as well. So I'll need to know more about you. And in the first couple of weeks, I'll have an assignment where you'll tell me a little bit about yourself. All right, so I'm looking at the time of my video. It's much longer than I anticipated. But I hope that you feel like you know me a little bit better. I'll be seeing you weekly, and welcome. I hope everybody is safe and well. If you have any questions or comments, I'll be sharing information with you on our Blackboard site about how you can get a hold of me. There's a number of ways you can do that. But again, that's me, Dr. Amanda Allman, psychologist. Welcome to Fall 2020.